a video is worth a million. Because I can tell you cardio with exercises and you go, I don't get it. But if I show you a circuit, you're gonna go, got it. So is it okay if I talk over a little bit? So a third of the presentation would be video, but I'll be talking through it. Yes? All right. Let's get through this real quick. Of course, thank you to Joey, ISN, everybody here, all the fighters that have come through IHB, because we learned through that, man. It's the whole thing is a canvas, and I've learned a lot from them, a lot. So I thank them. 5 lessons we're going to go through. We're going to talk about a culture, right? Because those of you who want to train fighters, you're going to have to know about this culture. It's not what you think it is. You know, as you heard a little bit. It's a tough way to make a living, and you got to study the history of combat, the history of different combats together, but we'll get into that soon enough. We're going to look at the development, especially the MMA athlete, which is the latest combat genre that's being developed. We're going to talk about swimming upstream. We'll talk about strength and conditioning, a little bit, you know, of that, because you got the Olympic lifts, you have the traditional things, you have different schools. We'll talk about that, and then we're going to talk about combat cardio and VO2 and all that. But we're going to go through this because it's only half an hour. Normally it takes half an hour to just tell you my name, all right? So, look, this culture, you hear it in the underlying tone. I'm a warrior. I'm going, fair enough. Do you know how warriors end up? Name me one that has turned into a king outside of King David. Warriors end up broken and alone. So stop romanticizing that. You're not a warrior, you're a professional athlete. And to change that culture, you know, they'll tell you, do you understand the difference? After an hour of explanation, they'll go, yes. Because what you're saying sounds very logical, because we're trained to make logical and critical decisions in school. This before this, and therefore this, and therefore this. Their world is a little bit more instinctive. A little bit more of a physical reactiveness, a little bit more of survival. They don't have time for critical thinking and deductive reasoning. So they're trained differently. That makes it better or worse. It's just different. It's like speaking with a very nice person that's Chinese and all you got is Spanish. It's tough, all right? So be careful when you romanticize the warrior image. You'll end up a warrior. And like one of the gentlemen said, you'll end up with 15 years of fighting experience, broke, teaching the cardio classes. And I would say, who knows what the percentage is? 60, 70% of fighters end up that. Why? MMA today is not karate. It's not judo. Those martial arts have a different culture. Number one, they have a culture of respect. You cannot step on a mat without bowing and with shoes. That's not done in MMA, because you didn't come out of high school, you get thrown in MMA, we're going to learn a little striking in the morning, tomorrow we have jiu-jitsu, and Thursday come in, you'll start sparring easy, because it's your first day, and it's go time. In a karate school, you have a white belt. In judo, what do you spend the first 2 weeks doing? Bam! Bam! Learning falls. And you don't throw an ipponsionage until you know how to land from an ipponsionage. And they build on skills. They build on skill in a very, very deliberate and written out way. They have a curriculum. Okay? There is no curriculum in MMA. It hasn't been developed that way. They're only 33 years old. Okay? And what is the most common thing you hear, and you hear this all over the world? Oh, my teacher has my son has a karate teacher, 3-time world champion. Every time I hear that, I'm going, shitty teacher. Because statistically, you cannot be a good coach if you were an elite athlete. You can't do it. Why? Because you are 15 years into being an elite athlete. You see the world through your eyes. You die to your metabolic profile. You fight to your structure, your attributes. You don't spend the time noticing different athletes, studying the game from different points of view, speaking to different psychological profiles, motivating different types of athletes. Some athletes, you gotta slap them. I was never that kind of athlete. You slapped me, you distracted me. kind of got me pissed off. Like, what the fuck you doing, bro? I don't need to be slapped. He's gonna kick my ass. I don't need to be slapped ahead of time. Some people do. Some people like that. Right now, if you don't do it right now, this is the moment, and they respond to that. You're like, yeah. You gotta know. How do you know? How do you know? Because you're a coach. You wanna know why you're a coach? Because early on, you had stress fractures. You didn't have the immunology. You didn't have the kidneys to be able to dehydrate 30 pounds and survive. You didn't have that. So you started assisting the coach. You became a coach early. So by the time that guy's won 5 world championships over 15 years, he's now 35, and you're 35 and you've been coaching for 15 years, who do you think has a better curriculum? Who do you think has a better skill set? Who do you think has that 30,000 foot view of coaching, inspiring, motivating, separating the technical from the tactical, and matching that to the psychological profile of the athlete? Who do you think? That 5-time world champion? No way. Statistically impossible. It's like the combines. Success in the combines predicts failure in the NFL, yet millions of dollars ride on the combine. You don't believe me? Show me one outstanding combine athlete in the Hall of Fame. Show me one. But I can show you people who were mediocre athletes like Jerry Rice, all right, that stomped the grounds. It's the same thing. It doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. And the culture gets perpetuated because there's nobody coming in to shake it up. And when somebody comes in to shake it up, they get pushed out. Okay? It's a culture more than a sport. It's a culture based on punishment. Some of these athletes, if they don't get punished enough, they don't feel they have the right to claim victory. They don't feel prepared. Why? Because they've been told that. They've been taught that. You don't believe me? Look at the interviews in the UFC. How many black guys do you see in the interviews that normally get done 3 weeks out? You're a Ferrari, I tell these guys. You're a Ferrari. You don't take a Ferrari out to the beach during spring break and put 3 drunken people in it. It's a Ferrari. You take it to I-95, you step on that shit, bam, and then you come back and you dust it off and you put it back in the garage. You work on the engine, you work on the machine, you take care of the machine. These people do the opposite. They punish the machine, they shit on the machine. And then what do? Well, I am so beat up that I'm gonna start doing cold water plunging, cryo, this drug, that Chinese herb, that, for what? To make up for stupidity. How about if you just rest your body a little bit and let this body inject itself with the pharmacy that it has, but it can't do that because you're busy going through the 4 stages of overtraining. I don't have any energy, I hurt everywhere, which is inflammation, then insomnia, and then upper respiratory infection. And they just bounce through that thing. Let's not talk about ringworms and all the other crap that's on the mat. With compromised immune systems. It's insane. It is insanity. If you're a college educated person and you see that program and you run it through your educational criteria, your critical thinking, your complex problem solving, you would go, who's running the show? Yet, it's universal. Right, so how do we develop athletes? You don't want to know how to develop athletes? Look at the big camps worldwide. 50, 60, 70 bodies on the back. Go time. Whoever survives, that's my champion. That's natural selection, man. That ain't development. Development is, okay, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Okay, you have this much that you can improve. Let's stack it. First teach you this, like you do in college, like you do in 5th grade, then 6th grade, then 7th grade, then high school, and so on and so forth. Let's teach you this, and then we build on this. And then we build on this. And then we build on this and create your optimal machine. That's not done, because there's no time for that. You got 3 coaches and 60 bodies? Who's doing that? Who's doing that? And it's go time. Bang, 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 bang. Okay? And anyways, athletes still developing. We're only 33 years old. These guys, you know, Tank Ab and all these, they went from pit fighters, bouncers, so and so and so. They're getting to become better athletes. Why? Because money and the democratization of the sport brings quality. But we still don't have quality athletes, although we have incredible athletes. Why? Because the quality athletes are going to the sports that the average salary is $2 million a year. Instead of the prospect of fighting for 15 years and having to teach kickboxing classes. Because you're starting at 10,000 to show, 10,000 to win, 4,000 sponsor money. That's your starting thing. At the UFC, after you've gotten your ass whooped for about 5 years. That's your entry. Hi, how are you doing? So what do they teach them? What does the culture perpetuate? Man, I'll fight anybody, anytime. That's idiot talk. Imagine if you ran a business like that and you made investments like that. They would just be, here comes the train against the mountain, okay? It's not high paying, so when you don't have high paying situations, and for coaches that want to get in it, good luck. If the athlete's not making money, how are you going to get paid? So you're not going to get paid. You're going to invent new little things, groups of athletes, then you don't do the one-on-one. Man, I've been doing this. The first camp that I assisted on was Alexis Arguello, Aaron Pryor, #2. Exactly. Wow. Anybody who knows about that, wow. That was my first camp. That was my first camp.
Wow. It's 84, 85?
82.
82?
Yeah. Up near early 80s. Yep. I've been seeing this, man. I've seen this. I've seen this. You're not going to lie to me. You're not going to pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. No way. No way. These guys end up broken because the culture doesn't work. The culture romanticizes a false narrative. Okay? There's no developmental skill system. First you learn this, then you learn that, then you learn that. Okay, you got this body type. You might. And your natural intention or your natural abilities kind of take you this, kind of take you to that. Okay, this is strong, let's keep this, but you're very weak here, so let's get a curriculum, if you will, okay, a stage of learning that can bring you the skills you need. That doesn't exist. And if it exists in pockets where certain coaches have the time to do it. It doesn't exist as a general rule. So you guys, the more common sense you have, the more upstream you're going to swim. Sorry, and I hear it from strength coaches. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? Here's how I deal with it. You know how I deal with it? I deal with it at the athletic level. And let me tell you, I'm not a popular guy amongst MMA coaches in Florida. In Florida. Because of that. Because of my outspoken position on this. But go ahead. Argue against me from a logical standpoint. You can't. And that's what pisses people off even more. The fact that they can't argue their position. Those of us who know a little bit of science, you go, well, of course that has to be that way. No, yes, it should be that way, but it's not. All right? So you coaches are going to go upstream culturally. You're going to go upstream from a monetary standpoint. And of course, if you're looking at your time, resources, what you invest in, forget it. Forget it. I do it because I have found a way. I have IHP. I have a different platform. I educate. I have certifications. In other words, I have diversified my investments to the point where I can invest a little time in my love. And that's why I do private training. And that's why I try to find sponsors for my athletes. So A, I don't waste my time and I can pay the light at my place. Okay? And I can give them time. Give them time. Sit down with them. Look at some video and say, did you ever, what have you considered this? Have you considered that? Yeah, well, how are you developing? On my own. No, you can't develop it on your own. You got to get a coach. Why? Why is your coach not doing this is my question. That's like somebody coming sick to you and you say, have you been to a doctor? Yeah, I got a, well, how come your doctor didn't see this? How come your doctor hasn't done blood work? What do you mean your cholesterol's 300? You don't do blood work? No. You have a doctor? Yeah. Why has he done blood work? Well, it's like that. That obvious. That obvious. All right? And every coach I know has the same problem. One of how you make money. Good luck. Okay, there's ways, but it's hard. And if you look at the decent paying jobs, do a review. And most of the stuff comes from paycheck.com, I think, and then they cite the NSCA. And the NSCA gives you the average coach, that's NSCA, according to them. Do you think they want to tell you that their industry sucks? No, why? Because they're the NSCA, they're selling you on certifications. Why would you need certifications? So you can make more money. Here's the average. I'm on the ground with these guys. I have 7 trainers. I know what they make, and I pay them well. And I try to keep them busy. And I know what they make. And they don't make what they say they make. So anyways, combat and strength training. Look, I have done bodybuilding. Not me, but I've worked with bodybuilders, powerlifters. And, you know, I've done my postgraduate work. I'm a dissertation short of my PhD, so I'm not an idiot when it comes to the science. But here's the deal. If you believe in specificity, and I don't know any coach that does not, you can't sell me on the Olympic lifts to make a better wrestler, judo player. Don't talk to me about the triple extension. I don't want to about the afferent motor units and increased blah, 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 blah. Okay? I want to talk about biomechanics, movement specificity, and then let's talk about physics. When you see motion, know the difference between, is that motion being caused by a muscle contraction through this range, or is it momentum carrying this joint through this range? Because if it's momentum, then don't talk to me about muscular contraction at that specific joint when it was here, this specific joint, that caused that momentum to occur so you could move the joint. That's physics. That's just physics. So when you learn a little physics, you understand that static flex balance may not be what you thought it was or what they sold you. So the traditional lifts are good. Olympic lifts are good. I competed in Olympic weightlifting until I was 41. That's why I have 2 artificial hips. And I can speak with authority on that, what hips are made to do full squats, parallel squats, Olympic lifts, and which ones are not. Same thing goes for the shoulder. And same thing goes for the spine for you yoga enthusiasts. Not all spines are made for a cobra. Not all shoulders are made for downward dog. And not all hips and knees are made to full squat. That I can guarantee you. Okay? So functional movement. Look, it's been bastardized. Functional movement just says, look at what you're trying to improve, come back off of it a little bit, and see if you can come up with some cool stuff that you can say, okay, you ask them, hey, does this feel like you're in that position? Yeah, man. And they'll tell you, no. Or like, yeah, this is what I feel when I'm clinching. This is what I feel when I'm scrambling. This is what I feel when I'm getting up with somebody behind me. Yeah, that's what I feel when I apply a rear naked choke for 10, 15 seconds and then I can't get it. That's, my arms are like pumped and I can't move them. That's how I feel. Now, then you know you're in the right place. All right, so let's look at some of the things that we do. Oh, let me get this volume off of here. All right. I hope I don't cuss too much. All right, so what is that? That's a double underhook, push him to the cage. What's my cue? Double underhook, push him to the cage. You're tired. It's the second round, third round. Let's go. You're clinching. Get your legs pumping. Get your legs pumping. Okay, you're tired. It's time to go. Come back out. Go. Drive. The cage is close. Boom. Right up against the cage. Clinching, moving. Okay, this is all isometric work. I don't do bodybuilding, full range of motion, loaded on the eccentric. I know the science. This is not what we do. This is what we do. And she goes, this is what it feels like. Do we do mini circuits? We do full circuits. Different ways. You'll tie from different pieces of equipment. All handmade stuff. 5-inch PVC. Put some carpet padding underneath it and go with clear tape. Done. It's a wrap. We're not into choking. We're into crushing skulls. Because trust me, you get an orbital bone, you get a nose, you get a mandible, and you squeeze on that, you put 100 pounds of pressure on that, trust me, they'll change position or they'll tap.
Push him away from you.
We get funky with it, man. We took a bench press and we go, okay, you're up against the fence, you're pushing this guy away from you.
Eso, papá, eso. Vamos.
Yeah, we go bilingual on this. You know?
Eso.
No problem.
Duro.
That is now officially my strongest pound-for-pound guy.
Yeah, baby.
Little Peruvian.
Yeah.
Been working with him for 2.5 years. Here's our boy. Don't look like a bodybuilding curl, does it? No, it's a clinch curl. It's an ugly curl. Swing it. Move it. And then combine it with some isometrics, with some push. We love isometrics. God, we're big fan of isos, and now we're going really crazy. We're going to make isos part of every strength phase that we have. All right. One of the things that I love about this type of training is that you can put the fighter in the fight. And now our strength and conditioning program not only is strength and conditioning, it's also practice. Why? Because the body knows what the mind tells it. Not what the body goes through. No, the body goes through what the mind tells it it's going through. What's a wet dream? That is the epitome of the mind dictating what happens. What's a nightmare? You wake up, blood pressure through the roof, you're sweating, you're crying, your child passed away, your cousin passed away, whatever. In here, it happened. No, nothing happened. You were alone in bed. Okay? So if we can take that approach and put them mentally into the fight, clinch them, push them against the corner, clinch them, and put them there. Those are reps in training that have absolutely zero abuse associated with it and specific strength associated with it.
You gotta push.
Come on, man. Tell me that's not a twofer. That's a BOGO. Pure strength, specific strength with no abuse. So can that take part of a hard practice? I'm telling you right now, unequivocally, I can condition a fighter better doing this kind of training than a sparring match. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And you can't say no because I can prove to you that it does.
Let's go. Back singles here.
These are little mini circuits. We pre-fatigue them with an assault bike or a Versa climber or burpees, whatever you got. And then we put them in the high crotch lift.
You're attacking.
He's stacking the whole thing. This guy's $135. He weighs 155 now. He's got 100 kilos on that stack, on that dual action pulley. He's got about 50 kilos here. And all I want is just hold, underhook, and attack. You hear that? I got to get him in that. When you're in the underhook, nothing is for free. This guy has to be worried about you 100% of the time because you're throwing dynamite at him.
Eso. That's where. That's it right there. Go. Pick that guy up.
That's a 140-pound ball. Now we culture. I could barely lift that ball when we first made it. Bam. Now I notice that I'm tossing it around. And I got this guy picking up the 135. So I put a directive. I said, hey, Adam, fill the green one all the way up and fill the yellow one all the way up. So 65 now became, I think, 83. And the 135's got to be touching 150. And I just picked it up, and it's not as heavy as it originally was at 135, but I'm going, okay, this is going to take a little time for me to feel comfortable just grabbing it and tossing it to somebody so they can get an isometric. Because this is what happens. And I didn't invent this thing. You just do it and you go, oh shit, look at what's happening. So what you want is these guys to lock in hard enough where they get a figure 8 on the ball so they can hold it. What happens? They start getting tired, this starts loosening up. When that starts loosening up, that 8 becomes a pear shape. And when that pear shape, it pulls it and you drop it. So the fact that they can do it or they can't is a perfect progression that tells you how strong they're getting and how hard they're locking in that isometric. Do I still have a little time? All right, so to make my argument on that I can outdo any sprint, any swim, anything with a circuit, I'm going to show you how we got it. This was a circuit that Gilbert was doing for Shamaev. Shamaev is going to be Gilbert's crown jewel. That is the fight of his life. Period. Every athlete, I've seen every athlete go through that. Sometimes it's for a championship, sometimes it's not. Gilbert peaked with Shamaev. He went beyond anything I thought Gilbert could deliver. And he just made everybody and himself so proud. Okay, watch. Here we go. 5 minutes and we're done. Okay, so he's gonna try to hit about 140. On this easy one, oh yeah, that's the hard one, 140. He tries to hit between 130 and 140 in 30 seconds. That's speed. So he's gotta hold on to about 180, 160 or 70 average. This is what we call pre-fatigue. We don't consider this part of the 5-minute circuit, so all of the circuits are 5.5 minutes, 5:45. So now he's tired. Now the thing's gonna start. So what am I doing here? I want him to learn how to rest a little bit by movement. And it's not just movement, it's what kind of movement. You can be offensive with a defensive posture, because I could be in here and show you that I'm ready to go while I'm backing up. Teach them that strategy. Get a breather in. Get a breather in. Now we got 84 reps on the legs. I want to take the legs out. I want to take the legs out. So we took the heart out, we took the legs out now, and then he'll start to do some stuff. I would like it a little deeper, but he's 2 weeks out, so, you know, they're at that point in time, they're ready to fight. By the way, they're ready to fight 3 weeks out. Why does it take 3 weeks to peak? I'm not 100% sure, but I would venture to say that the production or the injection of adrenaline by the adrenals into the system and the uptake of the adrenaline through the cells without a cardiac arrest would be part of the adaptation. So I think it's a neuroendocrine peak, not a physical peak. We know that. Guys take 7-day notice fights and they perform, they go 3 rounds hard. Were they peaking? No, they were able to get there. And this is not our hardest circuit. We already went through the hard ones. Now this is 2 weeks out where I'm letting him rest a little bit. He's already capable of going through this circuit at 5:35, no rest, no nothing, jumping from here to here to here. So what happens? What about VO2? The VO2 can actually be low and his fight preparation may be through the roof. Why? Because what we're training them is the mechanism of oxygen demand, not the oxygen demand. One thing is to have an oxygen demand because you're running at a 7 mile pace. And another thing is to get your heart rate to 170, same heart rate, through an isometric contraction of the upper body with peripheral resistance and all the other good, cool academic stuff you learned that happens. It's a different feel. Trust me. You probably won't even get your heart rate up to 160. But after I isometrically contract you in a clinch, you'll give up after 30 seconds. You'll be wanting to run that marathon. It's a different feel, it's a different oxygen demand, and it's a different buffering of hydrogen mechanisms. One at the local muscle cell versus at the circulatory cell level. And remember, we also have to take into consideration how he felt before that. He might say, I feel great, but I gotta see him walk, I gotta see him talk, I gotta see him look at me. Then I'll decide if I let him rest like I'm letting him rest. Why? Because at about this time, 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, what's happening at the MMA club, team, academy? Banging. They're bringing up the heat 3 weeks, 2 weeks out. Some of them finish 2 weeks out, some of them finish the week, 1 week out. But even if they're not going hard, is he suffering from the last 2 weeks over at his MMA school? I'm a little bit more forgiving at this level because I know it's just rudimentary stuff. We're not even training him. We're just showing him that he's ready. The training has already been done at 2 weeks out. Now we're gonna take out the upper body. So we went through that whole, you got no lower body, now do something. Kick, move around, takedown, bend your legs. And so now he's gonna go through the metabolic chest, which is 60 reps of various types of push-ups. And I don't want them deep. I want them at the posting and lockout. What I'm developing this. In combat, when you're here, you're pulling. When you're this close, you're not pushing somebody from here. Rarely. So right here, I'm working on the lockout for punching, I'm lockout for posting, that kind of endurance. Like that. That's why you see everything almost to 90, barely 90 degree of elbow flexion. If you're doing bodybuilding, if you want a little bit more volumization, you can go deeper. But I have very specific reasons why I do what I do, and I have very specific reasons when I break the rules, because I know they're already trained and what I do won't matter. I'm just putting them through the paces, getting them mentally, you're ready to go. That's why the coaching is so animated. I would like a little bit more elbow flexion, but again, he's tired. And I don't want to push him, and then 2 weeks out, I'm pushing him into a respiratory infection. No, he's already ready. The base that we did, the strength that we did, the power that we did, and the first 3 weeks of power endurance show me that he's ready. Okay? Whew, I got it in.
You got
Yes.
a few minutes for questions too. You have time.
Okay. I have all, my time is your time. I just want to make sure I got this in.
Yeah, we can, it's 2, but we can run a couple minutes over for some questions if anyone has.
Yes, sir.
So nutrition for this type of training, what nutrition basis do you use?
The nutrition, most of these fighters, for example, I worked with Mark Andre, his last fight before November 2nd, his last training here, he's gonna do the last week in Canada. He's a chef. I go, who does your nutrition? He goes, I do. Gilbert brought in a specialist. Gregory brought in a specialist. And especially when it's Brazilian, and even if it's not Brazilian, the nutritionists, they know more about the water compartmentalization, the carb. Look, I could do it, but I'm not going to do that kind of work. So at that point in time, I feel really comfortable sending it to one of Joey's colleagues here. Good. I know where I'm strong, and I'm good on nutrition. I'm good for fitness to drop 10 pounds. I got it. I can recite research and shit, but it's not what I'm into. And I don't want to dedicate the time, because I want to dedicate the time to this. That's where I can make the biggest impact. And then send it to one of these wonderful coaches that have nutrition, like Corey. Corey took that shit, man, with grams of carbs. Oh, okay, we got 10 pounds that we can work with, and the gram of carb will weigh this. I'm like, woo! No, man, I ain't that. I'm not that, I ain't there. That's the man. Boom. So there you have it. Yes?
More questions. Yeah.
Let me
Few
find
moments. Take advantage.
Yes?
Are there any movements that you really like that translate in both the bodybuilding and combat sport like combo things?
Specifically, no. Because a great squat for bodybuilding is not a good squat for, it's not a specific squat. We don't lift people like that. A knee extension, okay? Great for bodybuilding, it's not kind of what we do. Can I use one for the other? Absolutely. Can we incorporate them? Yes. Do I incorporate them? Yes. During our hybrid model, we have the ability to use deadlifts, squatting, leg press, and we might make it a little funkier, but it's still that. And then do hybrid, so I can go from a leg press to an asymmetric punch, to a double clinch on a band. So I go from leg traditional to funky other parts of the body. And I can go through that through condition and strength. Works beautiful. Yes?
I know you've been in the business a long time. Is there anything you would recommend on the macro? Like you said, there's not a lot of money in it and so forth. If you're, let's say, aspiring, like a performance coach, anything you'd recommend for somebody starting out in that field that just to survive and make it so you get to move?
Yeah, listen, let's call it personal training, okay? Personal training, the 70-year-olds, the 60-year-olds that have the money, that don't miss, that give you they give you what do they call it? Tips on holidays. They invite you to Thanksgiving at their house. They don't miss, and have them subsidize your fighters. Okay? Get the non-sexy, good-paying personal training session, so then you can do what you love, and then you can volunteer, and you can work. You can say, look, this is not free. Okay, but what I need you to do is tell everybody about your experience here. Don't tell them about me. Tell them about your experience here. If you're having a good experience, I just want you to say the truth. And then actually you can then move off into social media, and that gets you more clients, and maybe gets you a good paying client from somebody who's got money, because there's some kids who are starting MMA whose father has money. If you get one of those, you're in, man. The best of both worlds. You get paid your $125, and the kids just started with American Top Team or whatever, and dad has enough money to take them to the best of the best. You're the best in your field.
One more question, Hall. Anybody have one?
All right, thanks, guys.